Wow, what a week. What a week. And I say that with a smile on my face now. This has been, I was telling Rita this morning, this has been one of those weeks where everything that appeared to be like chaotic or not happening in your favor, actually, after it was said, I said, oh, I get it. Where you were going, how could you do that? How could you, you know, all that. And now I'm saying, would it be fair to say that that might be in our favor? Oh, I don't like that when it happens. It takes away all my pity parties and my complaining and all the stuff I like to do sometimes. But what I've been learning is that if I really, really look and I really, really mostly feel, I'll get the message that is coming through me to know what it is I have to do. And I'm at that wonderful critical place in my science, in my particular science. And I read this wonderful thing from the Hopi Indian chief, White Eagle, commented a few days ago, and he says this moment that humanity is living through can be considered a door or a hole. The decision to fall into the hole or go through the door is yours. Say it again. This moment that humanity is living through can be considered to be a door or a hole. The decision to fall into the hole or go through the door is yours. Now, I'm going to ask a question here. Hands are only important. The actual answering isn't, Bob. No, the thing is, how many of you have ever fallen in what you consider a hole? You know? The kind where you're going, help! That hole. And then there's that door that either can remain shut or you can actually go through it. I'm done with holes, man. I don't want to go down though, because it causes a lot of work. It's just like I love the metaphor before. It's like the person goes, don't worry about it, I'm going in, it's quicksand. And then they say, help, give me your hand. Oh, no, not my hand, man. I'm throwing in a rope and I'm tying it around a tree. That's how we're going to get you out of this hole. And we've been in a hole here and there lately, but to me, falling in the hole is living in my past. The hole for me is creating or not even creating, but choosing things based on my reference from the past. And that is getting dangerous these days because some of the things in our past are not so pretty. So it only tells me to be bold enough and daring enough to open up the door of light and go through it. And to really just say, you know what? If you think, I don't know, maybe some of you, if I think I'm going to go through that door all confident and cocky about it, of course I'm going to go through the door. Now, I might go through the door like this. You know, because it's scary. But the other is so painful. It is so painful to not make a decision. Oh, indecision is like in the world of Catholicism where they call it purgatory. You know, the place where you're making no decision and so you're waiting for somebody to make that decision for you. Oh my God. Because I'm going to tell you something. We don't make that decision, it will be made. And it's going to really rely on what's in my subconscious. So I have a little story for you. I have an acting background, and this week, I'm really appreciating the training that I had because I'm realizing it is absolutely in alignment with science of mind, new thought, call it whatever you want. But what it is I was taught that when you do a character, you embody it. You embody it. Believe as though it's true. Create your history. And before you know it, that's what you're watching on a screen or on a play. You're watching this incredible, what you call an incredible performance. Well, we're all the actors and the directors and the producers of our lives. And this is really exciting because I wanted to share with you, Ernest Holmes, man by thinking, there's the pronoun thing, but I'm going to throw it in there. Man or woman by thinking can bring into his or her experience whatsoever he or she desires if he or she thinks correctly and becomes a living embodiment of his thoughts. And I will go even further with that. Yeah, the thoughts are important, but your beliefs are in there too. We've all said a lot of things that I'm going to tell you. Haven't you ever even heard stuff come out of your mouth and you go, I don't even believe that anymore. Why am I still saying that? And it's because it's like Pavlov's dog, right? The bell rings and you're like that, right? So I'm going to share a little story with you. That yesterday was the telethon. And for those of you who have noticed that there's, like, I have a little makeup here, and if you looked at my feet, you'd say, is that nail polish? But if you said that, so instead of you like going home and going, did you see Reverend Patrick? He's a little eyeliner on there? You know what's going on? Well, if that ever happens, you just ask me. I'll tell you what's going on. Yesterday was the telethon. And how many of you have heard of Ms. Cheryl? Yeah. And this is all a Science of Mind lesson. Since she retired yesterday, I'm going to give you the Science of Mind lesson, how she was like in the mind of God. I had an idea, and it was you, and you, and you, and you. So this is what happened. We were doing a telethon 3 years ago, and there was some brunch drag queens or something brunch queens or something that happens over. Yeah. Anyway, they were drag shows over at the hotel, and I thought, wouldn't that be fun to have them come here? And so Angela was trying to contact them, and everybody, wouldn't that be fun? They bring them here to the telethon. Now here's the lesson we're going to keep. They never returned the call, so we could have said, oh, look at them, they don't return the call, which we did. But after we got past that, thanks, I was called 7 times and they never, and then after that I just went, and then usually in life, what do? We say, didn't work out, wait, I went, wait a minute. I bet I could do it. So something started birthing inside of me. I was birthing, and I said, wait a minute. People wonder about me all the time anyway. They say he's so big and flamboyant. So all of a sudden, I remembered, this is the lesson, I'm not waiting for anyone anymore. If you don't want to show up, I'll show up, either in pants or a dress. So this Miss Cheryl is birthed. And all of a sudden, I remembered in New York, I used to help my actor friends out and call people on their birthday as Carol Channing. So I thought to myself, is there a Carol that lives inside of Patrick? I bet there is. But that wasn't enough. I don't want to be Carol. I had to become Cheryl. Carol's sister that had to stay home all the time with the parents while she went out and became a star. So that's what I'm talking. What are we doing here? We're making choices with our life. We're saying, can I do that? Can I do that? And so before I went on the first time, I heard this drag queen that did Kinky Boots, thank you. And I heard it and I listened to it on NPR. And he said, listen, if you're going to play a woman, you're going to get in a dress and everything, you give it integrity. Don't go in there, because this whole thing I was reading about it today, men have been doing this thing in comedy. Don't make it a comedy, man, because and all of a sudden I hear it, because I am trained to act as if it were. Does that make sense so far? And that's what we do when we want to demonstrate and we want to manifest. We have to believe it is true. I can't just, Patrick's in a dress now, and that's, no. If I'm getting in a dress, baby, I'm becoming it. I'm going to become it. And so it was wonderful. So Miss Cheryl's birthday, I got this wonderful makeup thing. And here's the deal. I see so much joy when Miss Cheryl comes out. I see so much joy, and I also see disgust. No, Let's tell it like it is, man. Let's not pretend like everyone's like, go, Reverend, because what it is that they're going, what is inside him that would put on it? And I don't just put it on, man. I mean, become it. That's what we do when we demonstrate, we become it. So the first time I did it, I went out and everyone was saying, you know what made it really special is that it seems so real. It wasn't just like, hi, everybody. No, it was like, I'm not leaving this character. I am this for this time being until I take off my dress and give it to Rita now this year. So here's the deal. So this year, something really fun happened. I have always been blessed about this idea of creating your own reality, choosing your own reality, and acting as if it is until it's done. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So this year, Jeremy and Amy called me last night and said, I have a quick little story for you. And I said, what? He goes, my mom called yesterday, and she's in Honolulu, correct? And she watched the show, and she called to talk about their 25-minute act and how great that was, and Amy was wonderful, and it was so great. She's watching the show. That was yesterday's telethon. And she says, I saw Janet, and she goes, but I just loved, I'm going to paraphrase too, I just loved Cheryl. I didn't even know Carol had a sister. And Kiana knows because she was gone one year, and she said, I never saw Patrick. So here's the deal. So his mother said, oh yeah, she was really nice, she was funny. Oh my God, I never knew that Carol had a sister. How interesting. And so she totally was immersed in it to give them a call to let them know how wonderful it was to meet this Miss Cheryl. And I was so, this is going to sound, well, not from me, but I was so honored. I was so honored because, and then he had to tell her, which we should have debated that. We should have just let her believe that Carol had a sister, right? But it was like saying there's no Santa Claus or something. I mean, not that there isn't. But when somebody, do you see the believability? She could not believe that of me unless I believed it here first. Does that make sense? It was just God bumps here. Nobody can believe anything unless you totally embody it. And that's what Ernest Holmes is saying. The very thing that you desire, you must embody it. Who knew that Miss Cheryl would be an inspirational talk? And here's the deal. We have an inner authority. And I've been giving my power away to a lot of people, places, and things. I have been giving it away and not even knowing it and going, I feel really depleted. Really? Surprise. That's what happens when you open it up and just give it away. And so I realized that I have an inner authority. We have an inner authority that we get to use, and it's 100% guaranteed. That's the one that we were talking about in the beginning. When the universe floods through you and as you, it can only give you as much as you will take, that you will receive. And so here's Miss Cheryl. It reminds me of Tootsie. Do you guys remember Tootsie? With, what's his name? Dustin Hoffman. If you watch it, it is a beautiful illustration of, there's people that have the debates about it too, but what he discovered, and it reminded me of me because I said, I can't get that. His was about an acting job. I can't get an acting job, and there was this acting job on a soap, and he decided that, maybe I'll go in as a character just for the hoot, and he auditions, and he gets the part. You ever do that? You ask for what you want, treat for what you want, you get it. Then you have to become it, man. So he becomes this Dorothy. But what I loved at the very end, people fell in love with Dorothy, just like most of them do with Miss Cheryl. We had 4 teens from the Sea Scout over there, just, wow. And I sat next to them, and they were just like, I mean, I have to admit, not the prettiest woman that ever walked across, but I had a dress on and some heels that I'm going to tell you something, I will miss them because Because you know why? Oh, not only that, what else did Miss Cheryl do? She danced with Love Tribe, baby. Yeah. She did, and I'm going to tell you something. I barely could get up this morning. I'm like all cramped, and Rita's going, "You're using muscles you haven't used in years," And thank you, darling. But anyway, so we have this incredible power that lives within us. And Tootsie says to Julie, that's the girl that he was in love with, and this is what's great about it. He was in love with this woman, he's dealing with this woman as Dorothy, and she needs mentorship. And here's this guy that she thinks is so arrogant, he just only thinks of himself, and here he is, another identity, right? We're always changing our identities. So I love this quote. He says to her at the end, well, one of the, at the very end when she finds out, and she's very devastated to find out, I'm sure his mother's not that devastated, but she says to him, "I miss Dorothy." And he says, "Me too, but Dorothy's here." As he was standing there as this man, he said, "I was a better man with you as a woman than I ever was with a woman as a man." He says this to Julie and continues, "Do you know what I mean? I just have to learn how to do it without a dress." And what it tells me is that there is that inner power that we get to use. And I'm inviting us today, guys, you can relax. I'm not suggesting that we all go buy dresses at the end of the service. But what I'm saying is, take some time this week to see what's really happening inside your beautiful selves. There is a kingdom in there that is so spectacular, so powerful. That inner authority that always has the right answer, always knows exactly what to do. I think it's time we take a break. That we turn it over a little bit. Not to out there, turn it over to in here. So my invitation to you this week, find your inner authority. Find your inner Cheryl. That daringness to be who and what you are with no apologies. Namaste.